We are back and we are live, everybody. Back to Report of Perkins. You know, so here, everything's going to be taken out of contemporary issues, especially in special education, right? Right now, we're going to be talking about Chapter 15, Administrative Preparation, our certification programs preparing public school principals to lead special education. One of the issues is, now we're kind of solving it is, with the IDEA Act or IDEA Act, the multiple amendments, once that passed, it talked about basically giving all students with a disability a guaranteed right to a free, appropriate public education, meaning they're able to do the same thing as you would consider your regular student. They get the same amenities as they do, same opportunities. Another issue you see is here. It says the connection of special education administration with the educational leadership curriculum is at once a current problem and a perennial concern for public school principals throughout the nation. Public school principals have a critical role in the development of special education programming, curriculum planning, professional development for teachers under their supervision, and evaluating the fidelity of their current programs in place. Now, that is a crucial thing. I'm talking about. Let me vlog to you a little bit. Let me talk to you. That's a big thing, because when you are the principal, it's like you're the head of the household. Everything starts at the top. So the principal's got to have a better understanding as to what's going on and what's going through. If not, they're just going to be, look online. Oh, here's a training. Teachers go do that. But what they don't understand is how the training, it'll prepare you for your things that you see, regularly that everybody across the world see. But what it does not prepare you for is for that one student that's different. Not everybody's the same. Not every situation is the same. So it's kind of hard to say that taking a certain training is going to prepare you for the unknown, for something that's never happened, because there's always that stuff that's bound to happen. Now, there's things that you see that you went through with the training, but I don't believe that you get the complete training. Your best training is field training, kind of going through it and figuring it out. Now, I do believe that you do need some training, and I think that the principals also need to take the same training that they're sending the teachers to, because they got to be able to handle the situation as well. And it doesn't just get pawned off as, the student's acting up, let's send them to so-and-so. No, because that's not good for them. That's not teaching them, that's not developing them. So that's my idea on that stuff. Why pick this topic? You see that where I'm sitting right now, this is in our defensive staff room, and here on the board, we have a lot of stuff that we talk about defensively and our stuff, because it's relative to my job right now. When you ask about principals, for me, you look at it as the head coach or our AD, so, and then you think about it, to be a college coach, you technically don't need to have a degree. Everything nowadays is all about who you know. But, a friend of mine, we were talking, would it be better? Would it help out our student athletes a lot better if their coaches, to be a college coach, you took coaching classes, and it's basically education. So it's one and the same. You take coaching classes. So you can learn about the different type of things that you can deal with. Same thing we were just talking about with the special education. You can learn all these things through training, through classes, all that you want, but until you get the field experience, you never know. And not everything's going to always be the same. So what happened back in the 1980s, it might not happen now. What's happened yesterday might not happen again, So just kind of preparing yourself, or being the head honcho, head person, preparing yourself to be able to hire people that have the same beliefs and are willing to do the same things that you believe in and learn, because everybody got to be willing to learn, then that's where you're going to have your success. And, as a program, because there's obviously got to be a culture as to how things are going to be done in your classroom or on your staff or your team. So I think doing that will also help. And that's why it's relative to me, because I see it as the same thing for our coaching staff as well. Now, we always get to the pros and cons, right? So, our pros always seem to be cons as well, just depending on how you look at it, how you view things, right? Like one of the pros, all right, let's just start off with a con, right? And then we can flip it to a pro. One of the cons would be saying, okay, so this student, does the training help deal with every situation? No, it does not. So that's a con. But the pro is you find ways to approach, students as well. And I think that's one thing that training does. That's another pro, is training prepares you for how to approach certain situations, different type of situations. Not telling you how to take your actions, but how to approach certain things. So all in all, they all have a similarity, right? But then it branches off into different things for what's really going on or however the student is acting. A con is, to me, why would okay, there we go. A con to me is, why does special education students have to get special training to deal with, right? I'm not a fan of that, and it's not necessarily meaning they're getting special treatment, but you have to do something extra for them, which I think you should do for all your students. I think you should do that for all of them to help them all out. So I think that's a con, because some people know, and it's like, it kind of hurts. Like, man, I got to go to this class because I got to learn how to do it. A student that might be throwing something, like, I got a kid. He'd be kicking and screaming and stuff like that, but I didn't have to go to class for that. He didn't teach me that. So I think sometimes the training can be a little excessive, depending on, their program and if you're doing with the higher needs and stuff like that. Another con, that the principals have not done as much, if any, training, to handle and leading special education in their school programs. Most of the time, the special education group has their own, leader, and it's somebody that helps throughout the district and stuff. And so it's not necessarily the principal that is at the current school that you're at. And that could be a problem. You think, you being the principal, you want to be able to manage or micromanage things that's going on in your school. And so that means you got to be willing to do the extra training and stuff like that, so that you can have a hit on what's going on. Another pro to all the training and stuff, being a principal or just a teacher, is you learn what's going on. You learn the different type of situations and stuff, but then you gain the ability to be able to help others. So I might have been through something. I might have learned something through this training here in Arizona, and then I'm coming over here and I'm teaching here in New Mexico. You have a teacher he was in Alaska, and he learned things over there. Or he actually has a sister who is autistic, so he's had to learn up close and personal without training. He grew up with it. So you learn those things, and he kind of taught me and put me on to the things that he did, and I learned from things that I've seen and what I've been through. You kind of learn to mold things together when you're communicating with people. So it's another thing about the training. That's also a big positive. You learn, you can meet other people and stuff like that, and learn their ways and see how they view it and communicating amongst each other. Now we're going to get on to the myth. Myth is going to be simple, easy, and this is one thing and it might sound a little janky, but I just want you to understand that when I say this, I mean nothing negative, but one of the myths is that the law is always right. They make all of these acts, all of these, they approve all of this stuff, the Supreme Court, everything gets thrown into this. But at the end of the day, these students are still students. They might have a harder time reading. They might have a harder time talking. They might have a harder time learning. They might need extra time. But that does not make them special ed students. I don't agree with that. They're still human beings. Treat them the same. That's all they want. And I think that's one of the main issues in special education is people get put into a special ed category because they don't want to learn. They don't want to listen. They don't want to read. They take time. It takes them longer. It's harder because people don't want to take the time to help them. Thank you again. Tune in to Reporting with Perkins again next week. I'll holler at you later.